It's the Rangers Journal now.
Hello and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Journal. You are tuning in to our live Q&A Thursday Club. Tonight I'm going to be joined by a few of the guys here. First of all, Doug, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks. It's been a wee while since I've been on a Q&A, so I'm looking forward to the evening and what comes up. Lots to talk about as always, so do get your questions in the chat, guys.
100%, Doug, 100%. And Andrew, back joining us again from the Ibrox Channel podcasts. Good to have you back on, mate. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. It's an absolute pleasure to be back on, Kevin, and good to see you, Doug.
And we will be joined by Ryan. I think he's having some technical problems at the moment, but he will be joining us momentarily. I suppose before we get into the questions, in fact, there we go. There's Ryan just joining us. Hi, Ryan. How you doing, mate? You good?
No, right, mate. 2 seconds. Just at my headset on. Game all right, lads, aye?
Aye, all good, mate. All good.
Aye, it's happening.
How you doing, mate? Good to have you on.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And I suppose probably what would be a good place to start. Just check. I don't think any of the questions have come in yet surrounding it, but probably a hot topic just off the press was the comments made from Dave King, looking to request an AGM. I'll kick off yourself, Doug. Then, what's your sort of thought process just now on Dave King and his desire to come back in as chairman?
I'm one of the people that I'm not particularly in favour of it. Not necessarily anything against him per se. He obviously did great work when he first came in and sort of saved us from the situation we were in at the time. So, excuse me. A lot of respect for what he did during that period. But the main thing that I don't want is he's talking about coming in for 2 years. And I don't want someone that's in it for the short term. I want someone that's going to come in and is looking to implement a 3 to 5 year plan themselves, not sort of kick off the beginning and then hand it off. Because to me, that just creates more uncertainty. You think, I think we'd be something like 4th chairman in 6 years or something if he was to do that, and then we had to get someone else in. He's talking about appointing key people. If I'm a CEO, how do I feel about my job security if the guy employing me is leaving in a year or 2 years' time? How does that speak again to short and long term aims? To me, it just adds a bit more complication, and what we don't need is more complication. So while and there's a small part of me that does wonder what his primary goals are. While I'm sure he does want the best for Rangers, and I don't doubt that, there's also the issue that he's been trying to sell his portion for a wee while. So part of me is like, well, is he just trying to capitalise on the opportunity to make it the easiest for him to do that? And is that his ultimate clear goal rather than the club itself? So that's kind of where I am at the moment. He's coming in really hard as well. He's trying to play the fans hard against the board, which I don't particularly like. I think that came across really clearly to me in his comments today, where he's trying to sideline the main people who are against him out of the voting, which isn't really how democracy works. To do this whole so the fans get what they want thing, and it's really easy right now to play the fans against the board at the moment, and I think it's a little bit of a cheap shot, to be honest. I think so. All in all, that's kind of where I am. It wouldn't be the worst scenario in the world. He can get things done. I'm sure he would get things done, but I'd like someone fresh with new ideas who can take us forward, and crucially for a longer period of time. We've done enough short-term stuff, so let's have someone that's coming in with a long-term vision for the club and the business.
Yeah, and I think looking at Twitter, I think it's definitely split an opinion at the moment. You read through numerous different comments and points of view on it. So I'm interested just to chat to each of you and see what your opinion is on it. So Andrew, what's your sort of opinion on the potential of Dave King's return?
Well, Dave King's obviously still got a vested interest in Rangers. He's still got his shares there. Obviously, there's a lot going on at the club at the minute, as we've all seen and we've all kind of suffered with. I think at the minute this creates a lot of infighting, and I think this will not necessarily steady the ship. Obviously, I would like somebody that's now. I don't dislike Dave King. I think he done a fantastic job for us when he was when he came in, and he really helped us at a time when we were probably at the lowest of the low. We ended up winning a league title off the back of it. But I would like somebody that's actually there in the country and a bit more hands-on. That's a personal thing. I'm not saying it will work, but I think this will get worse before it gets better, personally.
Yeah. And I think that was actually, if I remember correct, that's probably one of the main reasons why he'd actually left, is because he wasn't as present and he had a lot more focuses back in South Africa where his main businesses are. And Ryan, what's your sort of opinion on the potential of the Dave King return?
I'm not necessarily all for it, but we could do worse than Dave King. Dave King's done well for Rangers in the past. He's got the club's best interests at heart as well. I do think it's more of a, as Doug was saying, I think it is more of a, he's really trying to get his shares moved on a bit. And right now it's not an attractive sell. So that's maybe what he's trying to do. I would preferably have something more, as the guys are saying, or something a bit longer term than the 2 years. But I think we could do a lot worse than Dave King. He's creating a bit of a civil war within the board, and he's getting the fans on side as well, because the tension between the fans and the board's already at boiling point. So he's stoking that fire a wee bit. It's just the way he's always been quite controversial, but isn't he? He's always been a controversial guy. So I think we could do worse than, I do think we could do worse than Dave King. So I'm not all for it, but I'm happy enough with it if it was to come in.
Yeah. And I suppose my opinion on it is probably similar to what Doug was saying. I think I feel it's a strange way to be going about trying to come in and become chairman. I think he's definitely making a lot of enemies. I probably don't like the way he's maybe trying to play the fans against the board. I think it, like Doug was saying, I think it's just an easy thing to do right now, is to get the fans on his side. I don't think there's a question that I think he could come in and do a job on a temporary basis, but I think could we probably avoid the circus that it's maybe creating at the moment when we've got that much things going on off the field already. Would that be more of a distraction rather than something that's going to be a positive impact for us? And I suppose just staying on the topics, I don't want to move away too quickly from it. Doug, if I was to ask you at the moment, what would your sort of order be in terms of the recruitment process? Would you be looking to get chairman first, followed by CEO? Or what would your sort of opinion be on that?
I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, I think you kind of need your chairman there, because there's no point putting a CEO in if a chairman then comes in and they're going to butt heads, and he potentially just dismisses them shortly after. So I think you kind of need to sort out the head of the ship first. I think the CEO position is arguably the most important, and therefore, because to me, your board are there to, you meet once a month, once every 3 months with the board and talk about how things are going and is it all going to plan. But your CEO is the man that is guiding the ship day to day, who's implementing everything, who will put the structure in place, who should be the guy that is properly running the club. So, I'd like that position filled as soon as possible so that we can start making those waves and start steering in the direction we want to go. But like I say, you'd be putting someone into a job with the circus still going if you've not sorted at the top end. So I think we just kind of need to get that done and dusted, and then we can say, right, okay, so we've got our board now, that's fine. Can we get aligned? Let's choose who our person is going to be, and then let that person run the club and let them get on with doing the most important work that needs doing, which is basically everything else that isn't the board, because I don't really care about that. I want that sorted so that stuff can get done, because to me that's the most important stuff, because that's what's going to make the difference day to day in terms of getting the club back to where we want it to be.
Yeah, and I think Curry's just jumping on that point as well, that he also thinks that the chairman has to be the first option. in order to then, I'd imagine, to then help the recruitment of the CEO, because there's obviously people that need to work together. RFC 72 posted in a comment there. Andrew, I'll come to yourself with it. So I was told a while back investors aren't happy with certain people within the board, that they're unwilling to commit anything until they're gone. I think I've read something similar. I think it's more directed towards the parks, I believe. And I think from what I remember was the Hong Kong investment potentially was the one that I'd read on Twitter. So I suppose my question off the back of that would be, would you be comfortable with King coming in if that also came along with the investment that he's been talking about in the media that he's confident he would be able to get?
Like I say, I've got nothing against Dave King. I don't think he would. There's a side to it. I don't think he'd do anything too rash. You know, he'd be there to protect his own interest. It's just all the timing of this. Now, if King comes in and it means we can have some investment from current investors and overseas investors, that might be a good thing at the minute, because we could clearly do with it. But obviously, the parks have their own investment in Rangers themselves, so you know that would have to be a situation as well. I don't think there's an easy answer at the minute for this. Obviously, a lot of fans have voiced that there needs to be change per se. Obviously, you can't sack a board, as you know has been said, you know, in the past. There does need to be some sort of change, and if King comes in and it creates a cash injection, that's got to be a good thing. Yeah, it's a tough one at the minute. It really is, because I don't see who else would be coming in at the minute. We've still been trying to track down a CEO for a while. John Bennett had somebody close. It looked like they've either looked at the situation and thought, no, we're not exactly in the best shape, are we, at the minute, really, for anybody to come in? So maybe King could be the one to get things right on a temporary basis for somebody to come in. I don't know, but them accounts do have to get better.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. And Ryan, I know this might sound like an obvious question, but if King was to come in and were to get that extra investment, where would you like to see that investment applied?
Well, definitely playing squad, absolutely. If the squad definitely needs more money put into it, I don't think we're a million miles away. I don't think we're as bad as everybody's making out in media and stuff like that. I don't think we're as bad as we're getting made out to be. But you're hoping your new signings come in and they start showing their qualities. But I think the squad, I think it's the obvious one. The squad definitely is still more investment if we're going to go and challenge for titles and compete in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose we'll move away from the board scenario, and we'll start to talk about our playing squad in itself. And we'll kick off one of the first questions that came in from Ross, who said, "Evening, gents. Is the pressure and hype on Iggerman warranted?" So, Doug, we'll come to yourself with that.
Well, I mean, that's being a Rangers player. That's life. Once you walk through those doors, so that's what you'll have to put up with moving forward. The pressure is on him, especially because people are so desperate to have sort of an iconic 9 again. So desperate to have that player that's going to turn draws into wins and losses into wins. And people don't feel that Dessers is that guy. I think the majority are on board that he's a decent enough player and he will score goals, but people don't have faith in him to score when it matters. And he has scored some important goals, but I think not often enough. And so with him coming in and having 45 minutes where he looked half decent, and also Keeley looked half decent at pretty much all the things people say Dessers isn't. That has kind of brought that pressure on. So, but I mean, he looks like he's a confident young man. I've yet to see a photo of him without a massive smile on his face. So he seems to have that kind of Dessers Sakala-esque joy in his work. So I think that'll do him well. And I just hope he can come in, hit the ground running, and be as close to that player as we would all like him to be. Because let's see, I think we do miss a little bit of that sharpness. at the top end, and with Danilo still having these injury issues, we do need him to come in and perform.
Definitely. And Andrew, I suppose, what has been your opinion on Egeman so far? I get that we've only had two short cameos from him, but what has your opinion been? Oh, you're on mute, Andrew.
That would help, wouldn't it? Probably the best thing I've said all night. In the short spurts that we've seen of him, I guess the Dundee United game is a good example, a game that Dessers really struggled in, kind of got bogged down in, that he was a bit of a shining light. Just that fact that when he kind of chested that ball in the air, took a turn and just was driving straight away, he's just got that pace, a bit of energy. He put through a good couple of through balls. Lawrence should have scored the one that he put through for him, a beautiful through ball. He's looking quite direct. He was linking up quite well with players as well. Obviously, Clement himself commented and said that we had to get him now or we wouldn't be able to afford him in a year or so time. I hope that proves to be the case. So far, he is looking quite sharp, quite good. A couple of shots that he's had, fairly decent ones, but we're not seeing a full picture just yet, but pleased with what I've seen so far. Hopefully he can start the next game, Dundee at home, and because that'll be a bit of a stodgy game, I think, and I think he could be the key to unlocking it.
Yeah, and I suppose the timely apt in terms of the Dundee game and the Cup coming up. Do you think this gives a good opportunity, Ryan, for Egeman to come in from the start? And would you put him in from the start ahead of Dessers?
I definitely would give him a start. He's looked really good since he's come in. So you only see him in small spurts. So he is coming on when teams are a bit leggy. Celtic games probably then when he comes on and the Dundee United game. But I rate Dessers as well, so I wouldn't start burying Dessers. I wouldn't even mind seeing him in Egeman in other positions as well, maybe playing off the left and stuff. See what he can. Seems as if he can get us forward. I'd like to see what he's like in the box, a bit more clinical wise, chances wise, what he's like. I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with him so far. So good anyway. I would like to see a few changes actually and give like Liam Kelly and that a run out as well and against Dundee, but Egeman would definitely be in the starting lineup. Maybe coming in off the left or ahead of Dessers.
Perfect. And I suppose we'll come on to that in terms of who we think might get an opportunity at the weekend. And someone did post a question, and I am struggling to find it. I did clock it earlier on. But someone had posted a question, and apologies, the fact I can't find it to pull it up on screen. But someone had asked, who do you think would score more goals between, in fact, here it's here. It's actually the Rangers Journal's question. So, Doug, who will score more goals this season out of Danilo, Dessers and Egeman?
Whoever plays the most games. I mean, the only answer I think you can give with any confidence is Dessers, because he's done it for a year. He's proven to be available most of the time. He doesn't seem to have the injury niggles that 97% of the rest of Rangers players in the last decade have had. So, he's the obvious answer. But, I mean, as I was saying before, I'm hoping that Egeman will come in and hit the ground running and get a good number. So I'd like to see, end of the season, ideally, Dessers has got another 20 and then we've got somewhere between 10, 15 from the other two. So, but it will depend on playing at the end of the day. Like Roof would score goals practically every time he played, but he only ever played 3 times. So I think it'll come down to that. So I think it's going to be quite interesting to see the battle between the two of them. Obviously, Dessers has kind of had the position to himself, really. So I agree about him, about Egeman potentially he's more flexible. So we might see him in other areas. I particularly think that the left side, could be a good area for him because we've not got someone that's really nailed that down yet. And I think with the other options that are there, there's the ability for them to kind of move around between the 4 of them, between the kind of the 10, the 2 wides and up front. So that could be something interesting that we might see when Egeman plays ahead of Dessers. But yeah, so I think the answer. The short answer is Dessers, but hopefully Egeman will not be far behind.
Yeah, I think the fitness of Dessers is one of the things that proved actually worth the money we spent last season, just in the sense that he was available and he was our only option. And who knows? And I suppose touch wood, if we don't have the same injury problems this season, that we might need to rely on Dessers. And like Doug's saying, it just depends who plays the most games. Andrew, your namesake, Andrew Gill, has posted in a question. Do you think Iggerman and Dessers could play as a two? I'm presuming that Andrew's meaning that would Clermont be looking to change his shape to play two up top?
I think Clermont is very rigid when it comes to tactics and formations. I don't think he ever deviates from a plan much. You noticed at the weekend with Dundee United there, they started like a 3-4-3. We opened them up quite easily and then scored. They then reverted to like a kind of, was it a 4-4-3 or something like that. Then we didn't really counteract that. We then got a bit bogged down in the game. So I just don't see him changing it up. And like when he makes substitutions, he always tends to make like for like subs. He doesn't really try anything different, does he? So I think I think there's a game plan that has to be adhered to. Don't get me wrong, never say never if we start dropping points here and everywhere. But you don't really see two up top really anymore in football, do you? It's the odd time you see a 4-4-2, but you don't see it often. I'm a big fan of the little and large, the Perso Novo. I think it can work. I think a player like Cedric Etienne would have been quite good in a kind of two up top. But I never say never. I think they could work together quite well. One's faster, one's a bit more sharper, and Dessers, if it's laid on a plate for him, he will score every time. So I'd like to see it, but I just don't think Clermont will deviate, being honest.
Yeah. And Doug, you made a good point, and Ryan, I'll come to you with that question. Do you think we might see Iggerman play, but maybe off the left rather than through the middle to try and accommodate playing both Dessers and Iggerman in the team?
I don't think they'll play two up top. No, Dessers is a bit of a favourite as well. I think he's happy. I think he's happy with Dessers. I'm happy with Dessers. To be fair. The left hand side seems a wee bit of a problem there at the moment for us. I'm all for him coming in off the left. But, give him a chance in his own position at the weekend if that's what he wants to be, a centre forward. I think Ibrox as well. Do you know what I mean? It's a good opportunity for him to get back confidence, get his first goal, and kind of kick on from there. But I definitely think he's got a lot to bring to the team. As a striker, his link-up play is good. He's gets you up the park. He's sharp turns. He's quite intelligent for his age. So, I'm looking at his attributes and how he's played so far. I've got no problem with it. I think he could play well out in the wing as an option.
Cool. And Doug, I know you've tipped Iggerman Dessers to score more goals this season. But if you were to have a sort of preference on who you would like to see starting up top between Iggerman, Dessers, or even Danilo when he's fit, who would your option be at the present?
Well, again, at present, I don't think you can choose anyone but Dessers because we don't know what fully what Iggerman can bring yet. I do want to see him playing. I agree. I think the game at the weekend's a good game to potentially give him a start and see how he gets on. Maybe bring Dessers on later. But again, we've had Dessers for a year. We know what he can do. We know he can score goals. So it's his jersey until Iggerman forces it off him. And as I say, that's what we want to see. Competition for every position. Because that's exactly what it should be. Players should have to play their best or not be playing. The best player to play is the one who's scoring the most goals, and bringing some assists into the game as well. So whoever that is currently Dessers, so it's his shirt to lose. So as I say, Iggerman needs to, if he does get given his chance, he needs to take it. He'll need to try and score one or two if he can. And then that puts the pressure on, and I think it'll be interesting to see. Let's see what happens with that. If I can just kind of touch on one of the points Andy made as well about like Clermont's tactical style. I kind of find it interesting because when we did a pod a while ago about his tactics, and when we looked back at his previous teams, he has played other systems, but. I do agree that he seems pretty wed to the system he's got at the moment. And I kind of wonder, is that something he's come into and just thinks that that's the best that we play? Does he think that's the best for Scottish football? Is that what he wants to do and he's getting to do it here? He didn't get to do it before because he played 4-4-2 quite a lot in France. He's played 4-3-3 when he was at Bruges quite a lot. So he obviously can do other things, but I totally agree that from what I've seen of him at Rangers, he seems very either unwilling or unable with what he has, and maybe it is just about what the players he has to make any significant changes. We seem quite wed to what we've got, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops as he continues to get more players of his own in.
Definitely. All right, Scotty, how you doing?
How's it going, lads? All right?
Not too bad, mate. You?
Aye, hanging together, pal, hanging together.
And I suppose on the Paul's point that he's posted there, so it's all game dependent on who starts up top. Obviously, we have a different type of game coming up with it being the Cup at the weekend. And Andrew, if I was to come to yourself, is there any sort of players that maybe haven't been getting minutes that you would like to see start at the weekend?
Well, I think, like was mentioned earlier there, it'd be good to see Liam Kelly get a run out. I think it's important, especially in the Cups, you see a lot of teams do it, and it's understandable. It gives, the secondary keepers a run out. I would like to see us now. Dundee aren't, in any amazing form. They've probably lost one of their best players this season. They've not been scoring a lot of goals. I'd like to see us set up really attacking, take no prisoners. It's the first game back at Ibrox. I'd just like to see us really go for it. Now, I'd like to see Bejrami start, but is he really going to deviate from starting Lawrence at the minute? I think that, don't get me wrong, Lawrence kind of has made a case based on the last game that, you know what, the shirt isn't necessarily up for grabs. It would be good to change it up a little bit, but I just don't see that happening. I think it's quite at the minute. He knows his team. He's going to play them. If John Lundstrom was still here, I think with one leg, I think he would be starting. I just think that's the way that Clement is. But I hope to be proven wrong. It'd be nice to see some other players starting. Maybe even the Bailey Rices of the world, but I don't see that happening realistically. But yeah, who knows? Maybe for 2 or 3 goals up, he might, because he has hinted in the past, especially with Danilo and his rehabilitation, he was going to bring him on in certain games if it was out of sight, but it never quite happened. So might change things up a bit if we are 3 or 4 goals up, possibly.
Absolutely. I know Paul's posted there. Would like to see Cortez, Igaman, Sterling, Raskin, Bejrami all needing games to sort of build up some match sharpness, sort of just similar to what you're saying there, Andrew. I know Andrew Gill as well had posted in about looking to get Kelly in, just purely down to it being the League Cup, which is sort of standards, which you'll see the sort of backup keeper come in and get some minutes. Ryan, is there anyone that you think you would especially like to see coming into the team?
I think Raskin needs to get back in there. But get back in, get minutes under his belt. Just kind of fell off the grid a wee bit ways after everybody touting him for most England and all that when we just got him. And so Raskin's definitely one. Bejrami, it just depends where he wants to play. Bejrami, if Bejrami's going to come in and compete for the 10 jersey with Lawrence, I would give him a shot in the 10. I didn't really think he looked that great out in the left. It just as if he's maybe not get the speed for a winger. So maybe I'd like to see him in the 10. Sterling was on the bench. I'd give Sterling a game as well. Even like Leon King stuff. As Leon King still was, or did he move on? He's still on the bench as well. I would even try and give him a game. Do you know what I mean? He's been there. He's been there long enough. And Liam Kelly's a definite for me. Liam Kelly. I would give Liam Kelly the whole cup, depending. Obviously, saying the whole cup as long as it goes.
Yeah, it's a strange one, right? Because I think if you're Liam Kelly, it becomes a bit of a strange move if you end up with 0 minutes. I get obviously within the league, Jack Butland is the number 1 keeper, but I think from what we've seen of Liam Kelly throughout pre-season, I don't think he'd done anything wrong. I actually thought if you actually look at both their performances, I thought he was probably the better of the two during pre-season. Scott, I know you're just on. I'll throw you into the Liam Kelly versus Jack Buckington Cup games debate. What's your sort of opinion on that? Would you like to see Liam Kelly come in and get some cup time?
I would like to see him come in and get cup time if we were in a better place, but we're not in a good enough place for that just now. I think you need to build that relationship at the back with proper Suter and Butland, and the only way to do that is to play them in matches together. That's the kind of core of the back line of your team, so that would be my take on it. If it was, no disrespect to Dundee, but see if it was even lesser opposition, if it was a team for the championship or something, then I would maybe say, aye, bring Kelly in. But for the sake of 90 minutes, I would just stick with Butland just now, to be honest with you, Kev, because we need to start getting some stability about this team and a wee bit of familiarity as well. Because we've not really got any just now, if I'm being fair. And if you're at least playing the core of your team, then you should be all right with matches like this, although it could be tricky because Dundee aren't a bad outfit.
Aye, absolutely. Who's cares posted there, and Dougal, come to you. So we play Thursday, so we play a team reflecting that will play Malmo. Do you think that is something that we'll do? Do you think we'll play a like-for-like team at the weekend and then face up against Malmo with the exact same starting 11?
I think it's probably more likely. I mean, I agree with Scotty. I think at the moment the most important thing is to get the players together that he thinks is his best team, and get them playing together. If he's going to hit his own self-imposed target of being the best position we can be by October. So I do think there's a little bit of that there. I understand wanting to get some of the French players minutes, but I feel like we kind of need to leave that to a little bit further into the season, maybe. So there could be a bit of that. The thing is, nobody strikes me. I mean, well, they shouldn't be needing rested at this point, so there's no need to rest them. So yeah, I could see him thinking, right, this is an easier opposition, so let's get the team out, get them working the system and planning for what we want to do, and that will hopefully then put us in the best stead for that game. But at the same time, you don't want to. I don't want to say that as if I'm, not. I don't mean that to disrespect Dundee in terms of using it as like a practice game or anything. If we take the eye off the ball, I'm more than sure Dundee would be capable of pulling off a win if they don't give it the full attention. So they still need to do that. But I do think the team, it's been a bit stop-start. Players haven't been fully fit coming into the season. Players have come into the team late from signings. So it's like Scotty said, they need minutes, and they need minutes together to start forming. I've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. We need to start forming relationships within the team to get the best out of them.
Yeah, and someone's posted there about resting Tav, because I think everyone will sort of cling on to the comments that Clement had made at the start of the season where he was going to look to rotate Tav. And listen, I thought Tav had an okay game at the weekend, if I'm honest. Do you think games like this are where we would look to rotate Tav, Andrew, and then maybe play him in the more important game, you could argue, on Thursday?
It's not something we've ever really done with Tav, is it? Now, Tav was obviously injured pre-season. Obviously didn't have a great end to last season. I think a big part of it was his injury. Now, obviously, we can go into the debate about he's lost a yard or two. I think we will have to manage him as a player now a little bit more. So, yes, I think resting him, don't get me wrong, he has played better in the last game. And there are little glimpses. Obviously, the Old Firm game was the Old Firm game. It's a difficult one. Maybe you play him in the first half and then maybe take him off at half time. I don't know. But it would be good to see Sterling in at right back, because we've never really properly got to see him at right back, have we? Like, realistically, properly, because that is the man that's probably going to have to fill that position at some point if Tav gets injured, or if Tav leaves at some point. So yeah, it's a difficult one. Do you play him? Do you keep him going? Do you get him playing into a bit of form? Because, you know, we all know what his output is with assists and even goal scoring. Granted, he probably isn't getting forward as much as he did due to the kind of slight, you know, loss, probably of a yard or two. It's a difficult one. That is a bit of a... I'd probably more likely to go with resting, I think.
Yeah. And I know, moving on, RFC 72 and posted in. Oh, sorry, I've actually clicked off it. Sorry, I'm not clicking off. In fact, RFC 22. Sorry, guys, I actually lost my train of thought because I clicked on something. So I think it was Curry that had posted in, and I've clicked off it by mistake. Here it's here. He had posted in. So, question for each of you. You're at a presser. What is your first question to Clement? So, I'll go down each of you. Ryan, we'll start off with yourself. What would your sort of question be to Clement?
It's a tough one, to be honest. I don't know what I would ask him. I don't really know what I would ask him, to be honest, mate. I would ask him how far, probably where he sees Igmane, where he sees him fitting into the squad. What does he see him playing? Is he going to, does it just hit between him and Dessers, or is he going to have him in other positions? That's probably my number one question. Does he see him playing in more than one position for Rangers? Because he looks certainly somebody we look as if we need to be playing. But at the same time, Dessers your top goal scorer, so I'd like to hear his take on possibly playing him in other positions with him and Dessers both been on the park.
Yeah, cool. And Scotty, what about you, mate?
I probably need to ask him if James Tavernier starts on Saturday, why is he starting on Saturday? Because he says he wasn't going to play 60 games a season. And if Tavernier's going to play every week, his performances are slowly going to decline. If he gets dropped for the likes of Saturday, then fine, and for a fitness reason, because we probably need to have fresher for Thursday than what we do Saturday. I think Thursday's games get more importance, and I think you can put a team out on Saturday that can get a job done against Dundee. It's just my opinion, don't shoot me for it. But I would probably need to ask him about Tavernier, because he did say he wasn't going to be starting all these matches, and he started every game known to man. Do you know what I mean? He started, he's ever present this season. And I can see why, to be fair, but I would probably need to ask Clement about the contradiction in that.
I think especially because I think it was been notable, especially at the beginning. He seemed off the pace slightly, but missing a lot of pre-season. So I definitely would have expected him to be rested. Maybe this weekend is where we see that. And Doug, what about yourself, if you had that question for Clement?
What's your favourite kind of lager? So just to give him something easy and different. I think I would ask, touching on what we were talking about earlier, I think I would probably like to ask him about the tactical differences between the teams he's had in the past and Rangers now, and why he favours his current system over the systems he's played previously, and sort of pull on some of those threads a little bit as to, you know, why is he choosing to play the way that he's playing currently.
Perfect. And finally, Andrew, what about you, mate?
I'd ask him if it's Timoteo Head and Shoulders, but no, seriously, one thing I'd like to ask him, and I probably wouldn't get the answer because, you know what managers are like in press conferences, but I'd like to ask him where he feels his weakest part of the team is, just to see, because when we hear from Clement a lot, one week to another, he doesn't necessarily contradict himself, but so with certain things, some things can be different one week to the other. We've lost that kind of charismatic manager we kind of had at the start when he came in. I would like, obviously he talks up the team quite well, talks up players in the team, but I'd just like to know his personal opinion of where he thinks the weakest part is, because I think sometimes the fans and Clement aren't on the same page, I think, sometimes. And I'm not criticising Clement. He knows more about football than I ever will. He's, won 2 titles with 2 separate teams in the same league, 1 year after the other. That is quite an achievement. He'll always know more about football than I will. But I would just like to know his honest opinion of where the weakest part of the team is for him at the minute.
Yeah. And I suppose just on that question, where do you think the weakest part of the team is, Andrew?
For me personally, it's I would have said defence originally, but I think we haven't conceded actually that many goals by the Old Firm game. I know obviously that was 3 goals. Probably between there and up top, I think we've got a few more players from midfield. I'd probably say, as it stands up top, I think is our weakest point at the minute.
Wow, okay. Interesting. And a bit of I suppose, a fun question for each of you, right? Paul's posted in here. And he said, who's the worst player that we have signed and why? And he said he'll put his one up once we've discussed it. I'm not sure if Paul means of all time or of this season so far. It's up to you, so you want to answer it, I suppose. Scotty, I'll start with
you. I'm going to go with this transfer window. We'll make it hard, right? Because my all-time worst signing's probably Ego Lostenstad or Emerson. That season was one I will never, ever get rid of in my head.
Horrible season.
Worst season I've ever supported the Rangers in, man. Nuno Capuccio and all that. It was drastic times. I don't think there has been a bad signing this season. We've done a signing review pod on Tuesday night, and I'm struggling to say who's going to be the worst signing out of it all. I mean, you've got guys like Connor Barron that's come in, has been brilliant. Jeff Day's been a revelation. Badrame, we've not seen enough of him yet. He's only played 45 minutes. Proper, maybe a contender for it. But yet again, not seen enough yet. He's been solid enough, but he's not been spectacular. But that's kind of a compliment in a way to the transfer policy, because I do believe the signings we've made have been decent, to be honest with you, Kev.
I'd probably agree with this one, though. I was talking to one of my mates in work the other day that even though we probably wanted more, just naturally with how much we lost, there's probably not many really in this squad so far that I'm going, do you know what, that was a poor transfer. I'd agree with, on this season alone, probably would be proper. I think just he seems to have already picked up a few injuries, but he's not lasted the full 90 minutes. Whereas if you actually look at the other boys that were brought in, look like young, good, potential, hungry, they seem promising.
Kev, you could potentially look at Diamondi in that bracket, because we've spent a lot of money on him, and whether we like it or not, he splits the support. You can either look at it as he's not on, the players running about him aren't on the same wavelength, or he's just not influencing matches enough. So he's either not good enough or he's too good. Do you know what I mean? He's a bit of an enigma that way. And we've just reached 2,000 subscribers, by the way. So thank you to everybody for tuning in and helping us. That's 2,000 subscribers in 6 months. That's really, really good. So thanks for your support.
Amazing news. A few people were actually popping in saying Nciala that we got from AC Milan. Doug, what's your sort of opinion on the Nciala one? I know it was obviously a free transfer, young.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one for the future. He'll get minutes here and there. He's actually one that maybe you'll potentially see against Dundee if he does make changes. Everyone I've heard about him is that he's talented but raw. AC Milan offered him a contract, so he must have something going for him. So I think that's just a slow burn one, and we'll see him develop. He came in for free, so I can't see how it can go too far wrong unless something terrible happens. He'll either come in, do really well, and hopefully sell big, or we'll sell him for something and it'll still be a profit. So I think he's fine in that regard because, as I say, cheap, young, so and can be developed. In terms of Paul's question, I did see he put all time in the chat afterwards, but I will give one. I've got one for both. So without a doubt, my worst Rangers signing of all time is Daniel Prodan, because he didn't play a single game in 3 years that he was with us. he was the star for Romania and I think the 94, 98 World Cups. So he came in, was going to be one of those players came in, it was going to be amazing. And then for some reason we were like, we'll not bother with a medical. Who needs medicals? We're Rangers. No one ever gets injured at Rangers. And that was that. So yeah, he's been my answer to that question for many, many years now. And if I had to pick one out of the current one on the basis of the same theme, I'll go with Narasho Castrovirgio, simply because he's not played for us yet. So I'll pick him rather unfairly on him for that reason right now. But I'm sure he looks like a decent signing, so I'm sure he will come good. But he's not touched the grass yet. So
perfect. And Andrew, we'll do a similar theme then. Worst signing of all time, and then what's your worst of this window so far?
Do you know what? All time is a difficult one because, for me, I'd have to take into account value, how much they cost. Just to hark back to Scotty's 03-04 season, that was one of the worst seasons I ever witnessed as a Rangers fan. And being a teenager at the time, it was soul crushing. Paolo Vanoli seemed to be one of the better ones of some of them players in that team. But oh my God, just everybody, Ostenstad, Capuccio, Emerson, the wrong Emerson at that. Because I remember we were signing Emerson. I thought, but no, it's the wrong one. For me, it probably have to be somebody like Franny Jeffers, who never really offered much. Obviously, Arsene Wenger loved him, absolutely adored him, and then he just disappeared off the face of the earth. There's a side to it wants to say Stephen Thompson, but he did score a few goals for us. If you're looking at value for money, signings, a lot of people used to say Torandri Flo was terrible, but he scored a lot of goals for us, but I think it was for the financial outlay at the time. Do you know, it's a difficult one because there's been players like Philip Sebo who we've seen pictures of over the past couple of days, scored that great goal against Chelsea in the friendly, but never really could do it on the park, could he? That's a difficult one from now. Again, it'd have to be based on finances. Oh, somebody put Lee Hodgson. Yeah, oh God. Somebody put Jack Simpson, and I can understand that one because considering it was a signing in the Gerrard era around about the time that everybody he signed would put in a good shift. All I remember from him was giving away penalties all the time. That's all I remember from Jack Simpson, putting the Simpson name to shame there. But do you know, I've not really answered that, have I? I've not answered that at all. I could be here all night going through names. It's a tough one. I'll probably just go for Franny Jeffers just for the sake of it. Carlos Pena there, RFC 72. I can understand that because we knew the issues, I think. Joey Barton, the less said the better.
Andy, I actually thought Carlos Pena played all right. See, when he did play,
he did, but it was very rare.
I thought he was a good player. He was a good player when he played.
He was a good goal threat. Probably because he was wrecked every time.
He's up front steaming.
Oh, well, it worked for Gaza sometimes, but
on the Desperados.
The Desperados, yeah. He was a strange one, wasn't it? Do you know what? If he could have curbed some things, I think he would have been. He was great for Mexico. It was just like, it's just one of them.
So many names mentioned. Kevin Kyle not on the list for anyone though.
Kevin Kyle. Oh,
I think just when you hear the stories and the amount of money that they paid him as well, man, he's got to be up there with one of the worst, I think, in fairly recent times.
I think we've deleted the banter years though. Them years in the lower leagues seem to be deleted out the brain.
Saying that Ian Black must have been brought up about 30 times in the comments. I just kept seeing his name popping up. And that question then, just to yourself, Ryan, finally, who's the worst signing of all time?
I think you just need, as I was just about to say, I think you need to just take your banter years with it. It's not normal times, was it? One I always kind of sticks to my head was Jerome Rotten. It was Rotten. That was a bad thing. There was a loan deal, I think, so it's technically not a Sprotter signing, but he was grim, man. He was a grim. They came with a good pedigree as well. That was a problem, I think. Came with a good CV. He was absolutely terrible. So this transfer window, I could pick your boy Facey Land just because you've not seen him play, but for the guys we've seen game time out, it's probably proper so far. He's maybe just taking a wee bit of time to adjust to the game here. I think he will come good. He's he's never played outside of Holland, I don't think. So the fit is a bit different. The ball's over the tap rather than played in front of you. So proper up the players we've seen some serious game time for, and probably Jerome Rotten for all time worst. I remember anyway. Just a subs. He was a player I was really excited about actually when he came in. You know, it was a bit of an anticlimax for him.
Yeah. Do you know, I can't even remember him, to be fair. Probably sums up how rotten he is then.
It does, mate. I think he played in the game in Europe where we got hammered 4-1 for that team. I kind of know who it was.
Unareru de Cheney, wasn't it? Was it that one?
Aye, to be honest, a wee man. Aye, still tossing till the night, I think that.
And I suppose what I'm going to do is just ask one final question. Just I'm cautious of the time, and then also want to just ask Scotty's opinion on the Dave King stuff, just because he missed out at the start. I could tell that he's eager. They was sending me messages like, "Have you spoke about Dave King yet?" So I'll come back at the end to Scotty for that one. But I suppose again I'll probably just go around each of these as well. So who are the current stick-on starters? So Doug, I'll come to you with this one.
Stick-on starters. Well, I think Butland is an obvious starter. No one's getting ahead of him. I'll just go through the positions. I think Tav is the obvious start. I do agree that we need to start seeing the transition for him as we go. But my argument has always been that even when he doesn't play well, he offers a lot to the team in terms of build-up play and things like that, that I don't think we will get from Sterling. I think he'll be a totally different type of player. So that's why I still have him as the obvious starter for the way we play. I do think centre-back positions are up for grabs, to be honest. So I don't think there's any nailed-on starters there. Jeffrey's nailed on for me. Barron's nailed on. I'd already nail on Bajrami just because I think we need that excitement and creativity. I think the other midfield space still could be up for grabs with Raskin coming back. Dio's still hasn't gripped the games as much as I'd like them to. So I think there could be space for that. And I think Dessers is nailed on up front because he's obviously, I said earlier, it's his shirt right now. It could be his to lose. We'll see, but he's the nailed on one at the moment. And I think, I'd probably say Cherney's nailed on now. He's done enough for me to nail on the right side. But as for the left side, that's up open as well. So I think there's no one nailed on for that position.
And I suppose if I just change the question slightly, right, and I'll go around each of these. So Andrew, if you were to just focus on the spine of the team then, so if you had like one nailed on centre back, one nailed on centre mid, and one nailed on striker, who would the three be?
One nailed on centre back. See, that's a difficult one, but I'd probably go with, being honest, Suter, because I don't think he has been improving. Obviously got his flaws, but I think he's the most consistent defender we've got at the minute. Obviously, we do have obviously we've got players we haven't seen there at centre back yet in Nana. When we'll see him, I have no idea. Midfield, I think dead cert Barron in there. And up top, I think it has to be Dessers, doesn't it? Just for Mitch there, it just has to be Dessers.
Mitch is on a timeout on the Dessers front, man. I've seen that getting posted in the comments as well. Guy loves him. And Ryan, what about you? Same question then. One centre back, one centre mid, one striker.
Same three for me. I think the Rangers team picks itself just now. It's just kind of worrying thing at times. I think you could say a majority of the starting 11 are the same starting 11 every week. So I think there's a lot of. It's the same three for me, but I think the left mid position is maybe the only one that's really up for grabs. You could probably pick the Rangers team every week, to be honest. I like to see number 10 position come up for grabs. I like Lawrence, but we need to have better in there. So, but they're kind of going after that, mate. The three that Andrew said there, I would agree. That's a three stick-ons.
Cool, mate. And Scott, are you going to give us a difference of opinion? Are you going to stick with the same three, or are you going to change it up? You're on mute, mate.
I know, I was trying to come off of mute, so I was doing
Still boy.
my stick-ons are probably Butland, Suter. And you know what? I would probably go with Hadji because I think Hadji's still the best 10 we've got at the club.
Bold opinion.
Right.
And I suppose, but before we wrap up then, Scott, 'cause I know you're eager, you wanted to come in and sort of make your opinion on the Dave King stuff. So I take it away, mate. What's your thoughts on it? Are you for it, against it?
I'm on the fence with it. I think if he comes in, he improves the club. He does what he says he's going to do. Improves the club. Within 2 years, he claims that he wants to be here for. Then when he leaves, we're in court again through all the stuff that he's stirred up, getting us where we need to be. And I can understand that. I could potentially take it. But this is where it's annoyed me, because see, if he's been told there's no hope of him coming back, why is he coming out and trying to get a vote that he knows he's not going to get off this current board, that only supporters do the vote, right? So to me, he's just stirring the pot. He's only here to make a noise. And this saga with Rangers is going on longer than The Simpsons now, or it feels like that with me. It's just a complete and utter farce, and he's not helping matters at all. We're finally going home to Ibrox on Saturday, and he's reared his ugly head for a second time this week, just to say, oh, by the way, I'm here and I want a chairmanship. That's all well and good, because I understand what he's doing, but he doesn't need to do it so publicly. He can actually behave like a Ranger and behave like a Rangers fan and do it behind closed doors. Doesn't need to come out and try and cause all this hysteria. That's what he's doing to me now. It's as easy as that. What Cammy put a question in saying, why has he been trying to shift his shares for the last 2 or 3 years? So what's becoming chairman of the club again important to him for? Do you know what I mean? Why he's talking about he's going to bring in investment. All these investment are going to do is give short-term loans. Therefore, we need to try and plug this gap again after he leaves. The investors will want their money back. The loans will be taken out against assets of the club. Therefore, get a chance of losing assets. Now, while we're not in a great position off the park just now, there's been farce after farce with this current board, right? We could be on the way to fixing that. We only need a CEO in the door and a head of youth. If you fix them 2 positions and get some continuity in it, a club, some fitter people, then that all of a sudden starts to look a wee bit differently. Dave King coming back and making all this noise through different media outlets isn't making him look good. It's not helping the mood of the club. Because see, if we don't get through on Saturday now, it's going to create a hysteria for King to come back and fix us. Right? And while that's not going to be his fault, it's a contributing factor to the mood about the club just now. Just leave Rangers alone, is what I'm trying to say. You've asked the question, you've been told no. So go and sit down. See, if he's trying to make all these changes, Kev, then he's a majority shareholder. How's he not got influence in the club to make these changes anyway? He's saying he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know the state of the club. How do you know, mate? You're a majority shareholder. You're the biggest. You more or less own Rangers. So why are you not in the scene? Why do you not know what's going on at the club if you're a majority shareholder? But while he's trying to ask questions of the current board and the state of the club, he's making me ask questions of him. Do you know what I mean? And what's his methods going to be when he comes in and tries to fix all this? Now, we've just shifted 10 million off the wage bill. His support have been getting the piss ripped out of him off this current board for years on end, right? That I will not deny. It's bringing out 4 taps a year, nearly £100 a pop. We all go out and buy them because we love the club, we want to support it. But that's before you've even bought a seat at Ibrox and sat down with a pie and a Coke. Do you know what I mean? Or a cup of tea or a bovril, whatever your take is. That kind of stuff needs to stop. But at the same time, we are bringing players like Connor Barron and Jeff Day, Agaman. That's 3 sellable assets I can see right away if we coach them properly and we manage them properly. That's how we're going to become self-sustainable. Dave King coming back, bringing in investors that are going to take out small-term, gives a short-term loan against assets in a club isn't the way forward anymore. We need to just ride this out as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there's any other way forward than making this a transition season trying to compete might go against the grain by saying this here, but I feel it needs to get said because this is where we're at and we just need to stick to it, if that makes any sense, Kev.
And I suppose if I was to ask each of you then, and Scotty will start with you, that just as a yes or no, would you bring Dave King back in as chairman?
If I could, yes. But no, because I don't like the way he's went about it and he's already been told no. Do you know what I mean? So I would bring him back in a heartbeat because I think he would come in and fix this mess and put the right people in the right positions. But then you're going to be in court in 3 or 4 years through him doing this. It's a hard one to catch 22.
Andrew? What about you?
Scotty has summed that up all perfectly, in all honesty. It is a catch-22. It's a yes and a no. He would need to be here. If it's a temporary, I think on a temporary basis, it would be good to stabilize some things, bring in people into positions, get these positions filled. Coppin and everyone seem to be recruiting the right players that hopefully will be able to make money out of in a few years. But it is the things like that we've just, this is the first time in 12 years that we've not had a court issue. That now that we can't be having any more issues and draining money financially due to being in court. It's a yes on a temporary basis as long as he's here, I would say. I've got nothing against Dave King, but the way he goes about things isn't the way that I would go about things.
Kev, can I just come back in quickly? You've also got the cat and mouse game between King and the Parks that are going on just now. And what's seen no matter what you think of the Parks, at least they've been at a club and they've been working on a day-to-day basis. They didn't just come back, plug a load of loans into a club, take their suitcase and bugger off back to South Africa again, which is exactly what he done. He ploughed a load of loans in, took his money and ran, and then we've just finished finalising his last court case this summer. Now he wants back in.
I mean, I think for me, I know I was asking a question, but I think if I was to answer my own question, for me, it's probably a no at the moment. I think there would be some pros and cons, but I just think the way the club is now, I think we don't need another circus. I don't think we've needed his comments this week. I think obviously we had a positive in terms of the new deal that we've got with Unibet, with 32 Red. That's going to be an 80% increase on our previous deal. We have brought in some good young promising signings, so we are moving back to Ibrox at the weekend. I just don't know. I think when we've got so many positive things going on, I think that was probably the last thing we needed was coming in and creating an extra circus or an extra talking point about Rangers off the field. But Ryan, what about you? Are you in or out for Dave King?
He's your Donald Trump, isn't he, man? He's coming in just because of a ruckus. He's just ruthless. He says whatever he thinks. And it make Rangers great again. But on that note, mate, I would probably take him back. Yes. He knows the club inside out. He knows how to do business. It might be short term. I think this is a transition period, as much as the club probably only come out and say it is a transition period. So maybe the club have got a long-term plan in place that we don't really know about, and it doesn't. And maybe Dave King has been told he's not to come in, and this is him just like, well, I'll just make arties now. But I would have, at the current state of affairs, I would take him back, aye.
Cool. And Doug, what about you? Just to wrap up.
No, as I say, I don't think it's worth it. We need long-term stability, someone that wants to get a long-term plan. There's all this talk about King coming in to do a short-term bit of work. One name that I think is being sort of missed from the argument thus far is John Gillingham, who is our current temporary chairman, who, lest we forget, is a very capable businessman and a total diehard Ranger. So I don't see any. I have no concerns about him being here for a temporary amount of time and getting things sorted while we sort out someone to come in to do things. I feel that he's more than capable of doing that role and doesn't need to be King to come in. I wouldn't expect him to spend as long as 2 years doing it, maybe. But apparently there's been no time frame set to his tenure, so If it took 2 years to right the ship and sort things out, I don't see why he can't do it. He's already there, and he has many of the attributes people admire from King in terms of being a good businessman. He's I think he's huge in the beer industry that he's the big guy in. He's got a good business record, and like I say, he's also got the club's best interest in his heart. So I don't see why he can't do it. King comes with too much baggage, too much extra, too much noise, and like you're saying, right at a point where things were starting to steer in a good direction. Getting a win back on the board, getting back to Ibrox, European football starting. It was starting to feel like it wasn't all doom and gloom for a second there. So let's try and get that back, please.
Definitely. Scotty, we'll wrap up now, but thank you for popping on, mate. I don't know if you want to plug the membership channel as well, because I've not got into doing it yet. With all the questions that have come in.
No, listen, guys, thank you for your hard work. Whether you've been here for the start, whether you've just joined, it's been absolutely brilliant how we've got to 2,001 subscribers in this short space of time. We put out a hell of a lot of free content. If you want an extra pod or two, it's 99p. If you can't afford it, they'll get released free eventually anyway, so don't worry about it. Just thanks everybody for supporting the channel. On to 3,000 by Christmas when up now.
Fingers crossed, mate. And Andrew, thanks for coming on. Again, feel free to plug your channel as well, mate.
Yeah, no, thank you ever so much for having me. I absolutely love the content the Rangers Journal does. I'm always having a look, and there's a lot of content that comes out from the Rangers Journal, so do follow on every platform because there is loads of stuff. But no, thank you. I'm of course from the Ibrox channel, which is available in podcast stores, YouTube, and even TikTok now. I've become a 15-year-old, so there we go. But thank you guys for having us on.
Thank you, Andrew. And Ryan, thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks for having us, lads. Not been on a couple of weeks, so it was good to get back on.
Good to have you, mate. And Doug, last but not least, thank you for coming on, mate.
Always a pleasure. It was I picked a good one to come in with the news that it broke. So yeah, lots of good chat. Thanks everyone for all your questions as well.
Perfect. And just a big thank you from me as well, guys. And if everyone can just remember to like and subscribe, pass it on to your pals, get them to sign up as well. Every bit is appreciated. And to wrap up, just remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night. Thank you.